Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Everything Actually with me, your host, Ashley Fisher. So, today's episode, I did a little planning ahead for. I always plan ahead, but like this one was a little more intricate. And I think I have a new idea that you guys would really like. So, I'll get to that literally in the next like 2 minutes, but that's a lie. But I'll get to it. So, first off, I want to say 13 YouTube subscribers, 24 on Spotify. So, love you guys. Yay! Then, my next point is I want to solicit feedback. Only people who I really get feedback from, and it's not ever hard critiques, and not even really critiques. They're more just like, hey, I listened, love you, loved it. Which, like, obviously, I love hearing that. But then it's like, what if, need some feedback to know what the people like, but also the people are, 24 on Spotify and 13 on YouTube. So, like, we're still testing the water. So, if you want to leave any feedback, comment, DM, let me know what you think. The thing that prompted this, so I work at a gym now. That's a little life update also. Left my last two jobs, finally got a new job. And the second, and this is obviously always how it works out, and it's not a bad, it shouldn't be a bad thing, but to me, I'm like, really? I heard back, like, the second that I got this job that I have now, I heard back from like five other jobs. I was like, where were you guys the past 3 weeks? So, yeah, I don't know, whatever. Anyways, besides the point, new job, I work at the gym now. And this guy was like, he came in with you know what? I was like, is it wrong to describe him? I'll literally just give age and gender. He was probably no, because if he listens and I totally guess his gender wrong, I don't know. He was an older man than me. I'm assuming he was like 30, somewhere between maybe like 35 and 42, maybe, but also I'm awful at like guessing ages. Anyways, so I told, like, it came up how I have a podcast, and he started telling me how, like, just giving me advice for it. And he was like, oh, do you solicit feedback for it? And I was like, I mean, not really. Like, not that I reject feedback for it. I just don't, like, beg people for their opinions. Like, I'm more like, hey, listen to my podcast. I'm not like, I guess I am like, hey, listen and let me know your thoughts. But at the same time, I'm more just like, hey, listen to it. So, and then, follow up with the thoughts. So yeah, he was so this is, I guess, my thought, like the point of this story is at first he was kind of like yapping, and I was like, okay, I'm at work. He's like leaning over the counter, just like gossiping, not even gossiping, but just like giving me advice. And I don't know, I've, and we'll get into this at the part that I was talking about before. But he was just giving me a bunch of advice, and at first I was just kind of like, "What the heck?" Like, okay, I got some things to do. I got some reports to run. Like, don't got time for this. Even though now here is where Ashley growth moment. I was like, I do have time for this, and I can learn something from this man. So I was like, my bias is just making me be, I don't know, cocky for whatever reason. Like, why? I think that you can learn something from everybody. You know what I mean? So if he's like offering to give me advice, I don't know. Me personally, I think I need to be more open with that. I get sometimes, I don't know, I was going to say like time and place, or if somebody's like giving unsolicited advice or like mansplaining, but I kind of took a step back and was like, you know what? Let me just hear him out. And I guess, yeah, what I learned from that was I need to ask people for feedback. So, hey guys, give me feedback. So that was the point of that. Oh, life updates. Oh, jobs. So how I just said, yeah, now I work at a gym. I also got hired as like a promotional model is what it's called. And it's for Jägermeister, which I don't know if it's permanently for Jaeger or if it's like it changes based on the need, but it's basically like I go to clubs and promote the beverage, and they said like the description says you give out free samples, but me personally I've never been to a bar that they gave out free shots. And like they were saying like, oh, like the bars in St. P, like in Soho in Tampa, and I was like, I whatever. So that's gonna be super fun. It's like $50 an hour. I work for 2 hours. And yeah, didn't start yet, but gonna do some onboarding and it's gonna be super fun. And now this is the new vibe that I was talking about. Also, I think I'm gonna keep this episode pretty short. And I did fear for a second that like how I'm gonna make it so many different topics. I guess one fear of it was like I could stretch not stretch it out, but like I could talk about it more in more episodes instead of just kind of throwing them all in one episode. But I also think it's something cool to try. Let's see if you guys like more topics instead of me just keep going on tangents about the same thing for 40 minutes, and not for me to like poop on my other videos, you know what I mean? But just like let's try something new and let me know how it goes. So, it's called A.S.H, A.S.H, because my name's Ashley. Duh. So, the A stands for advice. So, that means what I'm struggling with currently. It's kind of like me, how the main theme of this podcast, I want to say up until this point, it is still the same theme, but how it's always me talking through one of my struggles, like one of my concepts that I'm dealing with at the moment. So I want to keep that element in there of me being like, hey guys, I do not know what I'm doing or what to do with this situation. And then maybe, I can like figure it out for myself. Ooh, okay. And then the next one is silly. So it's anything. I wrote, yeah, anything, songs, stories. Yeah. So, oh, I literally just thought of what I wanted my silly one to be, and then I was like, oh, let me write it down so I don't forget it. Oh, I'll get more into it after. I'm telling you guys, like, you can remind me, and I'm definitely not going to stop it to rewind it. But my silly one's going to be about how I actually want to have guests on here because obviously I'm such a chatty person. And I feel like having somebody else talk that's not just me would be awesome. And then H is how do you feel about blank? So it's going to be just a topic. I'll prose, yeah, right? Prose it as a question and be like, oh, how do you feel about, all right, wait. So I'll prose it as a question and I'll try and give no bias. And this is where it would be awesome if somebody else were here so I can ask them the question and get their opinion and then give my opinion because that's what I'm going to do anyways. But I want to give you a second to formulate your own opinion about it before I go into a rant about it. So let's start with A, what I'm struggling with currently. And now this is where we bring in the phone. So, yeah, because we remember this. Oh, shoot. Yikes. All right, never mind. But, side note, I started watching Avatar recently, and that kind of looks like, when, like, the Avatar, like, starts and his eyes are, like, that's kind of what it looks like. Anyways, advice. I am an extremist in the sense that if I go on a trip and one bad thing happens, I'm like, this trip sucks, my life sucks, da 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 da. Or if, like, pretty much my highs are super duper high and my lows are super duper low. And I almost kind of think of that with people too, which I know is unhealthy, that I'm kind of like, either I love them and they could do no wrong in my eyes, or it's like they screwed up and I'm like, all right, you're irredeemable. Like, you can't come back from that. And I want to find my other notes. Oh yeah, but this is kind of like I I worded this as why I can't just have a good thing. And what I mean by this is, yeah, I wrote like if I'm on a nice trip that I was so looking forward to and it's going great, one bad thing happens and I cry and I'm so upset and I'm like everything's ruined. Like why couldn't I, like why couldn't I just have had a good time? Like why did I have to let that one thing ruin it? And sometimes it's not even that drastic. Like I feel like maybe I could, I don't know, like get in a fight with somebody, or I don't know, like something kind of small happen. And it's like where other people can just say, like, okay, let it take up like an hour of your worrisome. And then you're like, okay, I'm over it. I'm on vacation. I'm not going to let this bother me. Me, it's like stuck in my brain. Like it, just because I can't just be like, oh, I'm on vacation. Let me just turn it off. But that's kind of like a branch off of this. I think more of, yeah, I don't even know like what advice I'm looking for on this. I think I just need to not be as extreme, but my thoughts always instantly go there. Like if I'm having let's say I work all morning into like the afternoon and I had a great morning. I'm like, life is so good. The sun's out, my radio's on, I'm singing my country music. And then this guy cuts me off on my way home from work. Immediately, I'm like, okay, actually, life sucks. Actually, you know what? Today could have been a good day, but this car had to cut me off, and now my whole day is ruined, and now it's everything just sucks, and now I'm just gonna go home and cry. And I was so excited to go and work out later and to cook a nice dinner, and now I don't want to do any of that because this car just cut me off. I don't know if that sounds really silly and extreme to everybody, but that's literally what happened. Like, that is genuinely what happens. And I don't know if it's just because I'm so emotional or, and I don't want to, I don't, that, saying emotional in that sense sounds so negative. And you know what, maybe it is in that sense, but like just very irrational. And I want to flip it and say it happens with the good stuff too. And sometimes it does if I'm having like a really shit day and then I never curse on this podcast, sorry. But if I'm having a really bad day and then I like, I don't know, like find some cookies that I forgot I had or find like a bag of candy in my drawer that I forgot I had, then I'm like, you know what? Maybe life isn't that bad. Or I'll see a TikTok that'll like make me giggle and I'm like, you know what? Or I'll take a shower, do some actual healthy coping mechanisms. But I don't think that's the same thing. That's not the same thing as like instantly switching and being like, "Oh, okay, everything's great now." But yeah, that happens. I don't know. So what I think I should do about I'm kind of sharing, I guess if anybody else relates to that. What I think I should do about that is find a way in the moment to de-escalate it because instantly it starts racing. Instantly it goes, "Oh, this guy cut me off." And then I start getting really mad. And then I start blowing it up into this is ruining my entire day. Blowing it up into this always happens to me. Blowing it up into why can't I just have a good thing? So I think I need to stop it at the beginning. When the guy cuts me off, I just need to be like, okay, am I going to let this piss me off for 2 seconds? Because that guy was not nice? Or am I going to let this ruin literally my entire morning, afternoon that I already thought was good, and then also my evening? Okay, yeah. Yeah, Ashley, that's a great point. I think I just need to catch myself in the moment and be like, are you going to let this ruin your day? You have the decision, the discipline, the self-control to decide if this is going to ruin your entire day. Those 2 seconds. And that's, I mean, those 2 seconds are only in driving. I had such a strong point there that I'm like, okay, well, but like if it's a more serious situation. But yeah, so that's the advice section of it. The S, silly. So yeah, I want to talk to people realistically. The first guest is going to be Andrea. Shout out Andrea. But I think I'm going to give her, we're going to come up with a list of questions. And I don't want to put it on a timer per se. So maybe I'll just do something similar to this being like three top. Yeah, literally these. I'll be like, okay, we have three topics we can talk about. I think I'm going to like this template, the A.S.H template. But yeah, because I was gonna say time it and be like, okay, after 10 minutes, like we have to switch to the next topic, but I feel like that's awful because we're gonna be going into it. So I want to have her on. Oh, and then some song recommendations. Oh my gosh, I feel my eye literally just started twitching. Ew. All right. So I am on Spotify. So there's an on repeat playlist. Handle on You by Parker McCollum, country song. That was my number one most listened to song in 2024, according to my Spotify Wrapped, and I still listen to it every single day. One Time Thing by Treaty Oak Revival, another country song. Dry by Rancid Eddie. That's I don't know what genre that is. I don't instantly I wanted to say like alternative, but not that kind of alternative. I'd say give it a listen, it's catchy. Yeah, honestly, it's a lot of country. Using by Sorority Noise, that's like Midwest emo. Like Him, Feet Lola Young, that's by Tyler the Creator. That one's fun. And then the last one, Miss Whitman by Bad Baby. I listen to that at the gym. I literally be doing so I do like I'll do a plank for I have like I'll put my timer like this and then I'll do a plank and up to 30 seconds I hold it and then the last 30 I like do hip dips. And this song came on and I was literally singing it. Like this song is so hype. I love it. Oh, and then The Adults Are Talking by The Strokes is at the bottom. And then the last one, actually, dare I mention this? You know what? I'll sprinkle it in for food for thought if it connects with you. And you know what? I'll talk about it another time when I do more research on it. How people were, gladiator fight. I know, just hear me out. How gladiator fights were the source of entertainment, like way back when. And that was literally people killing each other. And it's like today, it's not as like that, but it's like people still me. Like I listen to true crime and like Criminal Minds is my favorite show. And I feel like things like that are kind of like obviously I've been like, why am I guess into that? But I'm also I don't know, I think it's interesting. I think the main point that I always hear is that people want to understand like human behavior and me personally, I think that the extremes of human behavior are even like more interesting to try and understand, you know what I mean? Yeah, like what pushes somebody to do something that extreme? And honestly, like a lot of times in my opinion, there's no justification for it, but just still to try and see. I don't know, whatever. Oh, but if you do want a true crime recommendation, Murder with My Husband, that podcast, love it. It's Peyton and Garrett, and pretty much Peyton explains a true crime story, and her husband, Garrett, reacts to it for the first time. And I love that she just like, Garrett gets his 30 seconds in the beginning. I think it was 10 seconds. Garrett only gets 10 seconds in the beginning. And then yeah, she just like talks and explains it to him, and I think it's fabulous. So if you want to listen to something good, you can check that out if you're also into true crime. Or if you're into Criminal Minds, you can DM me and I'll let you know my favorite episodes because. And now the last one, which I love that I'm at 20 minutes right now because we've ran through these topics. How do you feel about blank? That's what the H is how. So a little reminder A is for advice, what I'm struggling with currently. S is silly, so like anything, song, stories. H is how do you feel about blank. Today's topic is, did social media ruin relationships? Now you get a second to think about it. Let me get a little sip in. Refreshing. I know that's a reference. I just don't know what to. Refreshing. That happens a lot. Me and my roommate talked about this. I have some like trigger words that it's like if I hear it, the instant like impression just pops up in my head. Like, in Pink Matter by Frank Ocean, where what's his name? Andre 3000, I think, is like, the peaches and the mangoes that you could sell for me. Every time I hear like peaches or mangoes, that lot, like I literally hear his voice just come through. Anyways, social media ruin relationships. This is what I wrote. I think I'll stay pretty to what I'm with. So let me know what you think. And spoiler alert, I don't give you a yes or no answer. Kind of fight for both sides, as I always do. So, I think it's one, the fact that everything is so public that people are always assuming whether you post about it or not. I've known people who post, or have you guys seen like the TikTok trend where it's like a girl will post her and her ex and it'll be like a super happy picture, but then it'll be like, oh, but they don't know we were fighting earlier that day, or something like that, that it's like obviously they're gonna smile in a picture. Not even obviously, but just because people are smiling in a picture and just because they post it does not mean that they were actually happy in that picture. You know what I mean? Basically, whether you post or don't post, I think should come from that. The person posting it shouldn't post it for other people to assume things about their relationship, and people who view it shouldn't be assuming things about their relationship, which is a general theme in social media, just being like, don't assume like the story behind any picture, because it's like you don't know what's going on, and I think that's mainly because you don't want to be jealous of it. Okay, no, now we're going off into a different tangent. But yeah, my first thing is, yeah, assuming whether you post about it or not. So it's like if you don't post your girlfriend, everybody's like, oh, well, are they not dating? Like, why doesn't he ever post her? Like, does he not care about her? Da 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 da. And then it's like, I don't know. It's just, it used to not be a thing. Um, Two, people have locations. I don't really, I do think in a sense that it is kind of weird for people to like be able to know where you are at all times without having to like ask you. And I know like one part of it's a safety reason sometimes. I don't know that. I don't really care about that. Like I don't care if people know where I am. Or like if my boyfriend knew where you know what I mean? Like anyways. So and then I was like, have locations and are supposed to be always accessible. So it's like, yeah, I just don't think that people should be always able to be reached. Like, and then that's why I think it gets worse being like, oh, if they don't text you back or aren't texting you all the time or aren't answering your call immediately, it's like, well, why aren't you? I don't know. I don't know. Let me see. I'm feeling like less passionate about this now. Well, I guess this was mainly to be like an open floor, like if Andrea was here. I'll skip my notes and then maybe just give a me thought on it again, because now I'm getting hungry. Panera sounds so good right now. I don't know if they're open. And they're expensive as heck. Um. Oh yeah, I said I think you're. So how I was saying, people aren't supposed to always be accessible. I think that's so unhealthy. I think you're supposed to have time alone, despite how much I say connections everything. But it's also unhealthy for someone to always expect to have access to you because of how easy it is to communicate slash reach someone on the phone now. And that's a side tangent I can go into. I hate when uh, I don't even know. I don't even want to shit on this, but somebody called me yesterday who I'm not even like we're like we're friends, but not to the point that they would be calling me in like an emergency, like no reason. Just okay, just listen to my story. So they called me, I didn't answer, so I text them being like, "Hey," and they go, "So your message works but not the phone?" You know what? Fucking my text doesn't work now all of a sudden either. Sorry. Like that's crazy. Like why did they think that you know what, it's probably not that serious, like in their mind, maybe they're just kind of be like, haha, joking. But I'm like, no, because I've had one too many people do this to me where they expect me to answer and I'm like, I'm sorry, do I owe you something? I'm sorry, I don't remember the part where we had a real relationship. And that's why I was saying, if I was dating somebody, if it was one of my parents, if it was my roommate, a relative, but like for it to be a random person that I barely talk to, like do not be spamming my phone. And that was my rants. Back to the social media thing. Yeah, and then 3, I said you mainly see the good of others' relationships and instantly compare. If yours doesn't look like that, you're creating a problem that doesn't even exist. Yeah. So basically, yeah, I guess if a girl like posts that like her boyfriend got her like a whole room of flowers and somebody else sees that and is like, well, my boyfriend doesn't even get me like a bouquet of flowers and her boyfriend got her a whole room. Now, that girl is comparing her relationship to the other one, but the point of being that you don't know what's going on. Imagine those were like apology flowers, and it was like he cheated on her. So on social media, like people are thinking, "Oh my goodness, he got her all of these flowers because he loves her so much," and then people are being like insecure about their relationship, like, "Oh, well, why doesn't my boyfriend do that?" But then it's like in reality, he cheated. So that's thought. Oh, and then I said, yes, that's why I'm like, don't create a problem that doesn't exist. I mean, like, if you want flowers, ask for them, but like, don't be like, oh, just because my boyfriend didn't do all of that, he's a bad boyfriend. Like, no, you decide what you deserve and expect in your relationship and communicate that with your partner and then go from there. So I also said, I think that social media does make cheating easier though. Just because, and a disclaimer to this, because like some of the examples I guess people might not agree with. People have different definitions of cheating, and I believe that you and your partner decide what your definition of cheating is. If you're in an open relationship and you can hook up with other people even though you guys are still like together, that's not cheating. But in their relationship, maybe cheating is having a physical relationship with somebody else. Now, if you were to ask maybe like newlyweds what cheating is, they'd be like, "Oh, if he likes a girl's picture on Instagram, that's cheating." And I'm not making fun of that. That's valid. If that's, they got married, as long as they communicated about that, they're on the same page. That's cheating. Don't do that. Yeah, so and I can, if you were wondering, I don't like that stuff. Like if you're in a relationship and you're like, no, I don't see why you need to be talking to other girls. And as much as guys will be like, "Oh, she's my friend. Oh, she's," it's like, but do you know what like she's telling her friends? I saw a TikTok about this literally like yesterday or 2 days ago that was just saying like the quote that the guy would say and then what like the girl would be saying. So if the guy's like, "Oh, I just Snapchatted her back," and then it's like the girl said, Oh, why is he answering me? Doesn't he have a girlfriend? Things like that. So that's where I stand on that. I don't like the liking girls' Instagram pictures. I don't like the texting, Snapchatting. Like, why do you need to see a picture of their face? Like, and I'm not saying a guy can't have girlfriends. Not yet. I'm not. That's just not what we're getting into right now. But like to be sending each other like a snap, like if you're really friends and like you need to talk about something, like text. Don't know if texting is worse, but like whatever. Neither here nor there. So then, yeah, so this is just the rest of my notes. I guess in the day, you need to be out at a bar and be physically talking and involved with someone to be cheating. But now, to some people, and I think the definition's different for every person. So if a guy likes someone insta pic, that could be cheating. But then if they don't consider that cheating, other people can still be like, oh, he's always liking other girls' pics. And then that could snowball into girls thinking he's single, so they hit him up. So that was that whole thing. How are we feeling, guys? I know I have cookie dough in the fridge, so that's literally all I'm thinking about. I'm gonna make those bad boys literally the second I end this. I'm so snacky right now. But yeah, let me know if you liked the Ash thing, the advice, silly, and how do you feel about blank. Let me know if there's anything you want me and Andrea to talk about. I also kind of want to open the advice section up to open it to the floor if any bold baddies are down to ask a question that I could give some advice on. Let's see. And I can also let you know if I am slash have struggled with it, just to let you know you're not alone, because that is a huge theme of this podcast, which is why I am so vulnerable on here, because this is the reality of it. And I'm not going to come on here and say, hey, I know everything and you should be like me and you should do everything I do because I'm perfect. I wish. I don't wish I was like that. I'm actually so happy I'm not like that, imagine. But just in the sense that life is hard and I'm here for you and I think we can learn from each other. Which now look how cute my sister got me this. But now we're coming full circle back to the beginning of me saying I think I can learn from everybody. So no matter who you are, whatever thoughts you have. I remember I got one or two comments on one of my YouTube videos and they just, I think, said, like, oh, well, I don't know if I agree with that or something along those lines. And I was like, okay, fair point. Like, thanks for sharing your opinion. That's the point. So yeah, any feedback is loved and appreciated. And I have not uploaded in a while. Sorry, guys. I think this is the 11th episode. But I know I just need to get back on it. I kind of want to throw this in as a closing note, even though I feel like I kind of already wrapped it up with all of that. But really, really, really quick. There's this TikToker, Haley Fernandez, and she's like a gym girly and super blonde. And she made a TikTok today being like, oh, you literally are the creator of your own life. Like, it's, you think that like being disciplined is hard, and you think that like going to the gym is hard, but it's like it's hard to when you're like sitting at home every single day scrolling on social media being miserable, like that's worse than actually getting up and doing what you want to do with your life. And like sometimes it really is that easy. Like if I don't want to be a bum at home every day, get out of the house. You know what I mean? If I want to be making a lot of money, get a job, pick up extra shifts, find side hustles. You know what I mean? Like, instead of just scrolling mindlessly, being like, oh, I wish I had this, I wish I had that. And it's like, okay. And I've talked about this before. You know how to get there. You just need to do it. Stop making excuses and just do it. Shout out, not shout out, but like at me. So, yes, sexies, how did we feel about that? Did we like that episode? My arm kind of hurts. I tried doing a different, like, I was gonna, like, sit up and do it, and the audio sounded fine. But, yeah. Alright. Bye, everybody. I'm sorry. I'm just like got so distracted for a second. I love you all. Thanks for listening and thank you for everything, actually. Bye.